Good day rather. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to a chapter a day. Today we are going to be reading 1 Chronicles chapter 21. And it's going to be a much longer chapter than yesterday. Yesterday we only had about 15 verses in our chapter, but today's going to be longer. So, what did we read about yesterday? Children. David taking the crown off of the head of the Ammonite king, I think, putting it on his own. Had precious story. Really had no real, much content as to exactly what was what. So let's go on with chapter 21. Again, these accounts in First and Second Chronicles are just going to be recaps or recounts of what we've read before. So let's see what this one is about. Chapter 20 really didn't have too much to talk about. There's 8 verses, sorry, not even 15, just 8. So I'm not even sure why they even made that a chapter. But anyway, let's go on. Chapter 21. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. And David said to Joab and to the rulers of the people, "Go number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring the number of them to let me know that I may know it." And Joab answered, "The Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But my lord the king, are they not all my lord's servants? Why then doth my lord require this thing? Why will he be a cause of trespass to Israel?" Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab. Wherefore Joab departed and went throughout all Israel and came to Jerusalem. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto David, and all they of Israel were 1,000 and 100,000 men that drew sword. And Judah was 410,000 men that drew sword. Okay, if you remember when we read this, this was not of God. This was David acting on his own. I'm not sure what was going on in his mind, why he wanted to number the people. But God was not happy with him. And because of that, God punished all of Israel, which is something I was so mad at David for. Like I said, sometimes the wrong things or the foolish things that we do as leaders, it resonates throughout the entire, city, nation, world sometimes. The foolish things, and we can think about leaders in the past, from all over the world, who have made some really foolish decisions and plunged the whole world into total catastrophe. And this is exactly what David did. Joab was trying to reason with him. He wouldn't listen. Verse 6. But Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them, for the king's word was abominable to Joab. See? And God was displeased with this thing. Therefore he smote Israel. He didn't smote David, he smote Israel. And David said unto God, "I have sinned greatly, because I have done this thing. But now I beseech thee, do away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly." And the Lord spake unto Gad, David's seer, saying, "Go and tell David, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee." So Gad came to David and said unto him, "Thus saith the Lord, choose thee either 3 years of famine, or 3 months to be destroyed before thy foes, while that the sword of thine enemies overtaketh thee, or else 3 days the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the coasts of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me." And David said unto Gad, "I am in a great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great are his mercies. But let me not fall into the hand of man." So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men. Mercy, Lord. And God sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, It is enough, stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. I am always so mad at David with this. He caused the death of 70,000 men because of his foolish decision. And sometimes, you know, even with us, some ridiculous ideas come in our minds and we carry it out. We don't even stop to think, does that make sense? Is this pleasing unto God? I know I've done it too, and made havoc in my life and then repercussions in other people's lives, because I didn't stop to ask God, is this right? This was one of the times when we see David did not communicate with God, but God sure dealt with him, much to the hurt of other people too. It's a lesson for us. What we do does not only affect us, it affects others. And if we were not so selfish, we would not do a lot of things before we even do it. We would think and think again. Verse 16, and David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heaven, having a drawn sword in his hand, stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders of Israel, who were clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces. And David said unto God, Is it not that I commanded the people to be numbered? Even I it is that have sinned and done evil indeed. But as for these sheep, what have they done? Let thine hand, I pray thee, O Lord my God, be on me and on my father's house, but not on thy people, that they should be plagued. Then the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David, that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David went up at the saying of Gad, which he spake in the name of the Lord. And Ornan turned back and saw the angel, and his 4 sons with him hid themselves. Now Ornan was threshing wheat. So what's happening is that the plague and the pestilence and all of that stuff has affected people. And then God sent the angel to stop. You know, he didn't have him go through maybe with the whole annihilation of the people. And then David asked for forgiveness and prayed that the punishment be just on him and his household. So God sent an angel to talk to the prophet or the seer Gad, who was really working with David. And while he was at the threshing floor of Ornan, now the threshing floor, I guess, is where they did their wheat and all that stuff, you know, to do whatever process they needed to do. Ornan was the name of the person who owned that threshing floor, and he looked up and he saw the angel. I always say to myself, I don't know what they saw, how they felt when they saw whatever it is they saw, mercy. But he did. They were threshing wheat. Verse 21, and as David came to Ornan, Ornan looked and saw David, and went out of the threshing floor and bowed himself to David with his face to the ground. Then David said to Ornan, Grant me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build an altar therein unto the Lord. Thou shalt grant it me for the full price, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Ornan said unto David, Take it to thee, and let my lord the king do that which is good in his eyes. Lo, I give thee the oxen also for burnt offerings, and the threshing instruments for wood, and the wheat for the meat offering, I give it all. And King David said to Ornan, Nay, but I will verily buy it for the full price, for I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings without cost. Sin costs. Sin costs. No matter what we say, sin costs somebody something. Verse 25, so David gave to Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold by weight, and David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon the Lord, and he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. And the Lord commanded the angel, and he put up his sword again into the sheath thereof. At that time, when David saw that the Lord had answered him in the threshing floor of Ornan, the Jebusite, then he sacrificed there. For the tabernacle of the Lord which Moses made in the wilderness and the altar of the burnt offering were at the season in the high place at Gibeon. But David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid because of the sword of the angel of the Lord. I tell you, these encounters that these people back in Bible times had, seeing heavenly beings and in their war status rather, with the sword. I think the other one was Elisha with his servant when he asked God to open his servant's eyes. That's so amazing, because Elisha had that faith, or he maybe had that sight that he could see spiritual things. So he maybe already knew that the angel of the Lord, the angels of God will encamp around them with chariots. So he just asked God to open his servant's eyes. In this case, Onan saw the angel just like David did. And I think that's what allowed him not to put up a fight. Because remember when Ahab was asking, I can't remember, but he had the man killed for his own field or whatever. Because he just wanted, it had nothing to do with God. He was just a bold man with his wicked wife who had the man killed. But in any way, this is a different thing. But David was to blame for the deaths of those people. He was to blame for the deaths of those people. I tell you, oh God, help us. And I mean me too, first and foremost. When I decide to do something and I'm angry to do it, it's not a good thing. If you're doing something out of anger, that's bad, because you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. So let's pray and ask God to help us to think, pray. Not just think, because sometimes we could think and still come up with nonsense to do. To pray before we do things. Ask God's guidance is what it is. That's the end of our reading for 1 Chronicles chapter 21. Again, we have read this before. I remember when I read this before in Kings. So it's just a recount again. Okay? So until our next reading, remember, keep on listening. Faith comes when we hear God's word. Take care.